our textbook. So let's get started with revising Learning Unit 3 and 4. I'm sure you are all super um, excited to get going, but also maybe just have a bit of stress, not sure if you do understand the content that you have to um, know by Friday, but not to stress. Please remember, I'm just giving you some important tips to be successful for your upcoming test. At all times, we need to be prepared. Okay, I'm sure you all know, your lecturers have also been explaining this to you in class, especially with a module like accounting, okay, that, or for any test or exam, that you have to go into the test being prepared. And when we say being prepared, it means that you must make time to study. You need to practice as much questions, whether it's in your textbooks, whether you are revising from past test papers, but it's essential that you actually do sit down and make the time. And hopefully with today's session and with tomorrow still being another day, you will have sufficient time to be prepared for your test on Friday. Also, very important to note, everyone, is to please remember that you need to check and stick to the time. And what will guide you here clearly is your mark allocation of your questions. Okay, and I'm sure your lecturers have gone through past test papers with you, and you've seen that each question has a specific mark allocation: 5 marks, 10 marks, 15 marks, and all those marks will tell you that that is the amount of time that you should be spending on that specific question. Okay, so you should be guided by that, because remember, you only have an hour to do your test. And also, just if for whatever reason you feel a bit anxious, just breathe in, take a deep breath, and just remain calm. Whatever you have studied will come back. And also, if you're unsure about a question, just leave it and then come back later. But it's important. What is the next thing that you have to remember is that you must answer all your questions. If you want to pass the test, it's essential that all the questions are answered. And very, very important, I'm sure also your lecturers are reminding you this continuously in class, is to read the instructions of your questions carefully. Okay, so this is very, very important for going into your test on Friday. Everybody happy with these tips? You can give me a heart or a thumbs up. Also, once again, are you all happy? Are you all able to hear me, able to see the slides clearly? Wonderful. Okay. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will again, are there any students that maybe joined late? We will then have to, please don't forget, those that have only joined now, are you able to see the register link before we proceed? Okay, yes, Troy, you have a question? I see your hand is up. Okay, not really. Thank you so much. Okay, so again, just some few reminders regarding your upcoming test 2. The weightage you'll see is a little bit more from test 1. So we really do expect you to do, if you haven't done so well in test 1, this is your opportunity now to do a bit better, because the contribution is also more. It's 30% towards your CAS. It's a 1-hour test. It's for 50 marks, closed book. Please, you must have your calculator with you. Also, of course, your other essentials, your pen, your paper, your student card, your ID, all those things are important resources for you on Friday when you're going to be writing your test. Any questions? Anything? Everybody all good? Perfect. Okay, and then one more important thing that you need to remember is that besides our focus on learning unit 3 and 4, any previous learning material of learning unit 1 and 2, please, you cannot write it off. With accounting, it's like building blocks. You need a learning unit 1 in order to understand learning unit 2 better, and learning unit 2, all those accounting equations, your chart of account, you need that also now for learning unit 3 and 4. So always remember, even going forward, when you're going to do learning unit 5 and 6, we still dependent on you understanding all your previous learning units. Okay, right. Um, so, what type of questions can we expect in your test coming up on Friday? There will be theory type questions, so please remember you need to focus on the theory. You know that from your first test one. Types of theory questions could be true and false, missing or put in the correct word, match the columns, choose the correct answer, or even just long questions or definitions. Okay, so very, very important to know that you have to study the theory both for learning unit 3 and 4. Okay. Right, then we have our practical type of questions. Of course, you know in Learning Unit 3, we've focused on a lots of different calculations, sorry. We had our VAT calculations, our markup calculations that we were introduced to in Learning Unit 2. And then, of course, for Learning Unit 4, most importantly now, is our subsidiary journals, the general ledger, and the trial balance. Okay, so those are the practical type of questions that you could expect in your upcoming test. Just some reminders again about the resources that your lectures provided for you at the beginning of the semester. Please, they should be there with you next in your while you are studying and preparing your summary sheet. Okay, right? This is your cheat sheet that should help you also while you are preparing. And then, of course, please let's not forget Finn, your chatbot. Okay, Finn is there. Your lecturers have given you the QR code. You have your link. So please, again, if you are feeling lost or you're still unsure of any accounting concept or you just need to revise, please, and you know now that your lecturers are not available to assist you, then your bot is there. Finn is there to help you. So please do um, engage with your bot. Okay. Any questions so far, everybody? You all with me still? Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Um, our learning objectives for learning unit 3 and 4, very important again that you know what are your learning objectives because they guide you as to know what you will be assessed on. Okay, and if you have a look at learning unit 3 and 4, you'll see that there are quite a few learning objectives. Also, again, you'll see that you have explain. So again, you can see that there will be some theory questions that will come up in your tests. Okay, so please, this is in your module outline, and also once you navigate on ARC, when you open up your learning units, you will see that your learning objectives are there. Okay. So let's get started with learning unit 3. Let's see how we can revise here. I'm sure you all know what is VAT, value added tax. It is levied on all the goods and services that you buy from a VAT vendor and is charged at 15%. So very important again is the theory, which you know if you go to your textbook for learning unit 3, the first page, it gives you all this very important theory that I'm sharing with you now. What is a VAT vendor, when it is compulsory to register, when it is voluntary to register, what is the difference between input VAT and output VAT? You need to know this. And also, when will VAT be payable to SARS or refundable by SARS? Okay, right. And we will also in later on also revise how we will calculate whether VAT will be payable or refundable to SARS. Okay, so all this that is on the slide that I'm sharing now is on page 76 in your textbook. So please remember, this is very important that you know your theory. Okay. Right, then you know your VAT categories, right? You need to know the different types of categories. Question 3.3 in your textbook, we have standard rated, and also remember that if an item is not zero rated, non-allowable or exempt, then it will have to go under standard rated. Okay, so very, very important that you know your VAT categories. So you have to study this on pages 81 to 82 in your textbooks. Okay. And then also on page 84, what are the two bases on which a business can register for VAT? That is your payment basis and your invoice basis. Okay, I'm sure if you work through past test papers, you saw that this came up in the previous past papers. So you need to know what are the two bases, but also might be able to explain them more in detail also. Okay, so please do revise this also again. Right. And then not forgetting is our source documents on pages 85 to 92. Do any of you remember those source documents? Before I share my slide, who can give me an answer? What are the different types of source documents that you have? You can type in your answer for me in the chat. That will be wonderful. Okay, those are the subsidiary journals. I need to know what are the source documents. Remember, step number 1, transactions have to take place. Step number 2, they are paperless or electronic source documents, and they summarize the transactions. Step number 3 is where the journal summarize the source documents. I'll give you one more chance. Is there anybody else that would like to give me an answer there? Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining. Um, Yes, wonderful. We are busy now with the source documents. Gonolo, are you able to see um, the 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 slides that I'm sharing? Wonderful, Keegan. Yes, that is correct. Receipts, cash invoices, credit notes. Wonderful. Well done, guys. I'm super proud of you. Well done. Well done. Well done. Cash invoices, cash slips. Well done. Okay. Yes. There we go. Right. So we get different types of source documents, but more specifically with our tax invoice for you to note on page 85, we also get what is known as a full tax invoice and an abridged tax invoice. So you need to revise what is the difference between that and also the requirements for it to be a full tax invoice. Okay, we will have a look at a past test paper also regarding that. And then our credit notes. Okay, so our tax invoices, we have a credit invoice, and then we also have cash invoices. Cash invoices are for payments at the point of sale, COD, and then our credit invoices are for when we sell on credit to our debtors and we provide them certain terms. Okay. Then we have a cash slip. We also have petty cash vouchers and journal vouchers. Okay, with regard to petty cash and journal, what do you think? Are they internal or external vouchers? Source documents, sorry. Who can tell me? Wonderful. Thank you, Madeleine. They are your internal source documents. Okay, thank you. Right, so a little bit of a quiz now. I think I've also done a lot of talking so far. So let's just see for whatever we have just revised now, whether you'll be able to answer these few questions. And also it will just give you some guidance on how the questions will be asked. Okay, or the possible type of questions that you could get in your test. Okay, so I'll give you a few minutes. You can give me your answers. So now you need to provide the missing word here. White bread is a, and then when dealing with markup percentage, we always work with the, and cash sales is recorded in the, and then some true and false questions. Could I have some answers? You can post your answers on the chat. Wonderful, Keegan. Well done. Well done to Keegan. Well done. Well done. 100%. Well done. Okay. All right. So let's. Do you need some more time, the others? Anybody else want to share their answers? All right, so there we have it. White bread is standard rated. When dealing with the markup percentages, we always work with the exclusive VAT price, and cash sales is recorded in the cash book receipts. Output VAT is a current liability, that is true, and the abbreviation for creditors journal is the CJ. Okay, so for this answer, the journal voucher is the source document for which journal? Who can tell me? If since that answer is false, what is the correct answer for the journal voucher? Which journal will that go into? Can I have an answer for that? Since it's false, what is the correct answer for a journal voucher? In which subsidiary journal will we record that? Please remember that the journal vouchers, they go into your general journal. Okay, everybody happy with that? General journal. Okay, so the journal voucher goes into the general journal. Right, general journal. Okay, not a problem. Thank you so much. Not a problem. Right. We'll continue just to have a look again at other type of questions in your past test papers. List 5 requirements that need to be shown on an invoice to make it a valid tax invoice. So again, you see there that it's the name and address of the seller, the name and address of the buyer, the VAT registration numbers of both the buyer and seller, the word tax invoice, the date and invoice number, the quantity price of the item sold, and the exclusive amount, the VAT amount in total. So I'm just giving you again some, um, so you can see also other types of theory questions that could come up in your test. Okay, so not only multiple choice or complete the missing or correct word, right? Or matching the columns, you must also be able to explain or list. Right, any questions? Then again, in the 2023 past test paper, we had another question there. What's the difference between output VAT and input VAT? Okay, so can you see? These are again some more questions that you need to also remember that could come up in your test. Okay, for your theory questions, right? So if you are registered as a VAT vendor, you are allowed to claim input VAT back from SARS on all goods and services purchased from a registered VAT vendor. So that's input. What is output VAT? It must be charged on standard rated goods and services when sold. So output VAT is what the business collect, and that is what is paid to SARS. That is why output VAT is a liability. And what is input VAT according to the chart of accounts? Who can tell me? Do you still remember what is input VAT? An asset. Well done, Monica. But what asset? Remember, we get non-current and current. So where will we classify that as a current asset? Thank you. Well done. Well done, everyone. Well done. Okay, right. Um, we'll move forward. Again, indicate the VAT category with an X in the table given. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to give me the answer for this question. I hope you're enjoying the quiz. Okay. Okay, so this is similar to question 3.3 in your textbooks. Are you ready to share your answers? Where will we put fuel? What will fuel be? Fuel will go as, you can type me your answers. 0 rated. Well done, Keegan. That's correct. And life assurance, what is life assurance? I always see students get confused. Don't confuse it with the short-term insurance. Very good, Madeleine. That's right. Life assurance is exempt. Staff refreshments or entertainment expenditure, where will we classify that as? Non-allowable. Well done, Madeleine. And the last one, equipment. Standard rated. Perfect. Thank you, guys. So please remember to revise your categories. Again, if they don't ask you to give the to s- to sh to if they don't give you a table in your test, they could also ask you to name or identify them by you actually saying whether it's standard rated or zero rated, or they could ask you even to give examples of zero rated items or standard rated. Okay, right. So you see how important it is. You need to revise your categories, and more importantly, you're going to see how important is this now for going into learning unit 4, because when you're recording your transactions, you have to know this, okay? You have to know that when you're recording fuel in your cash book payments or in the petty cash journal, that it's zero rated, which means you're not going to calculate the 15% VAT. Okay, so it's very important for you to know all the different categories, and when you're actually going to record their transactions in your subsidiary journals, that you remember when to calculate VAT or not. Okay, so it's so important going forward. Right. Now, the most important thing here also, remember, we've now revised as much theory questions, but now we need to focus on the practical type of questions, the calculations. Okay. And you know that VAT attracts three very important amounts, which is the exclusive VAT amount, which is the 100%, and then the VAT amount, which is 15%, and then inclusive VAT is 115%. But also remember that there's different formulas that you can use to calculate your missing VAT amounts. Okay, you can either use this one given the given times or multiply by what you want divided by what you have. You know that I've even stressed this in our first revision session. So please remember this, or you can use what is in your textbook. There's another easier method. Okay, going from exclusive to inclusive, you will multiply by 1.15, and then going from inclusive to exclusive, you divide by 1.15. And if you are given the inclusive VAT amount and you want to get to your VAT amount, it will be multiplied by 15 over 115. Or if you are given the VAT amount and you must, I always tell my students I would prefer them to calculate the inclusive VAT amount first, then you will say multiply by 115 divided by 15. So whichever formula you use and you get to the correct answer, you will be allocated the marks. Okay, but very, very important again, with regard to any calculations, you must remember, you must show your workings. Okay, right, so very, very important because marks are allocated for your workings. Okay. Any questions, or can I proceed? Everybody still with me? Okay, wonderful. Right, so we're going to just recap on how to calculate our cost of sales. Very, very important. Okay, you know this. We did these type of calculations also in Learning Unit 3. Okay, activity or question 3.7 in your textbook, where you had to be able to calculate um, the cost price, and more specifically where this calculation comes in will be in your cash book receipts. Okay, where you now need to calculate cost of sales, And there are two methods. You were introduced to these two methods in Learning Unit 2 when we analyze transactions on the accounting equation. We have method number 1, which is the markup on cost. And I'm sure you also know what is method number 2. Okay. Perrin, uh, uh, can you hear me, guys? I have someone that says they're not able to hear me. Students, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Perrin, maybe what you could do, can you maybe log off and then log on again? Okay. So before I proceed, guys, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, Right. So to calculate our cost of sales, or what they could also, another name for cost of sales is the cost price of our trading inventory. Right. So again, yeah, very important to use the formula what you want divided by what you have. And the rule again, when they say markup on cost price equals 100, you add your markup whether it's 25%. Remember, you can get different types of markups. Okay, you've seen it, you've practiced it in your activities. It could be 10%, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 60. 70. Okay, that markup percentage can change, but you need to remember to get to the selling price. Um, you must add. Unfortunately, you cannot raise your hand, Sithandiwe. You can only post a question.
Okay, not a problem. A student.
Yes. Do you have a question, Sithandiwe? I see you've unmute your mic.
No, I was asking on behalf of the students that have their
Yes.
hands raised. Yeah, I don't have a
Okay.
question. Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, can you please just post your question to me? Let me just see. Or if you want to, you can unmute your mic then I could maybe, and you can, whichever you are comfortable with. Okay, parent says he can still see the slide. Unfortunately, parent, I'm not sure why you're not able to hear. The students are able to hear me. Um, did you try to log off and log on again? For those students that raise their hands, can you can unmute your mic and ask your question, or you can post your question. Okay. Sithandiwe, I'm not seeing anybody. Are students?
Anande,
Yes.
Anande, please lower your hand if you don't have a question.
Question
And Kisha as well, your hand is up. If you don't have a question, lower your hand or
and
please unmute and talk. Nathaniel as well. I think we can proceed.
proceed.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sithandiwe. Thank you. Right. So I'm not too sure. Okay, perfect, Nathaniel. Thank you so much. Not a problem. Okay, so here's an example. Um, so to get to your cost price or your cost of sales, you're going to take the given. So that is your selling price or your sales that will be given to you, and you're going to multiply what you want divided by what you have. Um, and then because we want to calculate the cost price, which is the cost of sales, so it will be 100 divided by what we have, which is the sales, and then that will give us our cost of sales. Okay, all right. I know that this you were introduced to this in Learning Unit 2, but again, very important for Learning Unit 3 and 4. Okay, right. So what is the other method? If they don't um, assist you on markup on cost, then the next method would be markup on selling, which is also known as the gross margin percentage or the gross profit percentage. And please, this is where that tip that I gave you of reading the questions carefully, and because we do see, especially with the journal, the subsidiary journals, that when students are not reading the markup or the instructions carefully, they are then using the wrong formula. Okay, so what will be the formula to calculate cost of sales if a business is using the markup on selling? Then selling price will equal 100. And now if you are seeing, we are working backwards, so we're going to subtract or minus the 25 or the markup percentage. Again, please remember that the markup could be 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%. In this example that I've shared with you, it's 25. So 100 minus 25 will equal 75. Again, so what is our formula? We take the given, which is the selling price, and we multiply what you want divided by what you have. Okay. Right, so here I've given you example. The given or the selling price was 12,000 and we needed to calculate the cost price. So we said what you have divided by what you want, sorry, or what you want divided by what you have. And this is what you want, the cost price, the cost price. Okay, and that will then give you your answer of 9,000. And very important, in the previous short questions that I went through, what did we identify? That whenever we do calculations for markups, we always work on the exclusive VAT price. Okay, so that is very important. And I'm sure you've seen in past test papers that they did trick the students where they gave them the inclusive price. Okay, so they first had to get to the exclusive amount and then do the markup calculations. Okay, so again, very important to read the column headings when you are given calculations regarding markup and VAT. Okay, very important to note that. Okay. Um, just Paran, were you able to join? Is everything okay now with regarding to the sound before we proceed? Okay, just again, some very important formulas, right? Sometimes you need to know that a formula can be manipulated in order to get to the missing answer. So cost price plus profit markup equals selling price. But also if you want to get to the cost price, you will take your selling price minus your profit. And to get to your profit, you can take your selling price minus your cost price. And then two very important formulas again that we need to remember is what is the formula for our markup percentage and our gross margin. It's your gross profit divided by your cost price times 100, and for the gross margin percentage is gross profit divided by selling price times 100. And this we've practiced in question 3.7 in your textbook, but also in your example activity. example 3.2, these calculations were explained. Okay, right. So please, very important to study these formulas. Now we're going to, okay, have a bit of a quiz. We have someone who's has unmuted his mic. Please, could you mute your mic? Thank you so much. Okay, so it's quiz time. Please have your calculators ready because now you're going to have to do some calculations for me. So let's see if you can calculate what is the VAT amount and what is the inclusive VAT amount. I'll give you 2 minutes to do this. And I'm asking you to round off to the nearest rand. Okay, also very important. Again, while you need to read your instructions, some questions will tell you to round off to the nearest rand, whereas some questions will say round off to 2 decimals. Okay, right? So very important to just take note of that. Are you ready to share your answers or you still busy? Again, whichever formula you use will be fine. You can use the easier method or what you want divided by what you have, and that will also be correct. Answer from Monica. So, Nick, there we go. Right. Well done, well done. So I've got the VAT amount. Okay, and once you have the VAT amount, okay, right, again, I've used, okay, I always okay, whichever method you use will be fine. If you're going to use the easier method, where you're first going to get to this price, okay, then you're going to times by 1.15 and you will get 1435. But I see many of you used this method, which is also correct, and that gave you the VAT amount. And once you had that, you would then just add the two amounts together to get to your inclusive VAT amount. Okay, right. So you can either use the easier method or what you want divided by what you have. And whichever method you use, it will give you the same answer. Everybody happy with that? Okay. Well done, everyone. Excellent work. I'm so happy to see that you have been studying, and so well done to everyone. Okay, now we're moving on to another question, right? Hi, Keegan. Your lecturer should have posted the answers for you. Which past paper are you looking for specifically? For which answer? For 2021, yes, that one was shared. Um, Maybe you could just follow up with your lecturer regarding that. I have provided the solutions for 2021, 2023, and 2024 to all the lecturers across campus. So maybe if you could just um, send your lecturer a message and then she could provide that solutions to you. Okay, Keegan? Right. Um, so let's just, perfect. You're welcome, Keegan. Okay, so again, now we have to do the calculations for our cost price, profit and selling price. Again, you can use the formula that I've provided on the slide. Use the given, multiply by what you want, divided by what you have. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes. Okay. Um, who's ready to share their answers? You can post them for me. Okay, remember the formula I gave you? When it's cost price, what is the rule? Cost price will equal 100. When it's selling price will equal 100. Okay. Again, please, when you are doing these calculations, show your workings, show your workings. Okay. You will have sufficient time. Your test is only 50 marks, but it's for an hour. So please, if you have time, please do show us your workings, your calculations. Everybody ready to share their answers? We have 6 minutes before we go on our break. Okay, we will take a short little break just for 5 minutes to stretch our legs, or just grab some water or a cup of coffee to keep us going for our next session. Okay. Do you need extra time? Um, Keegan, at which campus are you? Okay. I think I will share my slide now. It doesn't seem like anybody um, is confident enough to share their answers here. Okay. Chief Fatso said she don't understand this. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. I have an answer again. Tetsofatso, let me maybe just go back to those methods that I shared. Okay, remember I told you you need to know this formula. Okay, when it's markup on cost, then remember your formula that you need to write down is that cost price is 100. You're going to add your markup to get to your selling price. And then you're going to use the formula of the given or the selling price multiplied by what you want divided by what you have, or just the given. Right. And if it's markup on selling, then the rule is that selling price will equal 100, and now we will minus 25 to get to the 75. Okay. And then also, okay, Keegan. Okay, Keegan. Perfect. Thank you, Keegan. Then your markup percentage is gross profit divided by cost price times 100, and gross margin percentage is gross profit divided by selling price times 100. So what you need to know here is you have to study these rules or formulas, okay? Even if you have to memorize them, and then you'll be able to answer these calculations. Okay, right. So if we're going to go to, again, there's different ways that you can get to the answer. Right, again, I've written down the formula there for myself. You can also on your answer book, also remember we will give you an area or space on your answer book for workings and calculations. Okay, so please remember you have to use that space on your answer book to show your workings. So the formula for cost price is cost price equals 100. We're going to add the profit, and that will give us our selling price. Okay, and then you can go with what you want, the given. So this was the given, and then you say multiply by what you want divided by what you have. So you want the 20%, and what you have is the 100. Are you with me? So there's your workings, and then we get to an answer of 90. And then to get to your selling price, you can just add the cost plus the profit equal selling. Everybody happy with that answer? I know some of you have tried it. Well done, Madeline. Thank you. Thank you for your answer. Excellent work. And now for the selling price. Again, what is the rule for selling price? Okay, so selling price will be 100. Okay, so now we're working backwards. So now we have to subtract the markup to get to the cost. Okay, and now we were given the profit. This was the amount that was given. So you could either go this way or you could go this way. Okay, whichever answer you will calculate first will then be like if I wanted to use the what you want divided by what you have, then that would have been my answer. Okay, or my calculation. Right, my workings to get to 2640. But if I first got to the exclusive amount. Oh, please, my apologies here, guys. Sorry, that is supposed to be exclusive and not inclusive, right? Then remember that it's again, you take the given, multiply by what you want, divided by what you have. Okay, you want the 100 and you have the 25. So you multiply by 100 over 25. So again, different methods can be used, but you will get to the same answer. Okay, right. Tsetso if you still need additional assistance, please, okay, access the bot, Finn. Okay, the bot will also be able to give you additional support there regarding these calculations. Okay. I'm hoping that if you still are not able to understand this, right, please engage with the bot fin. Okay. Right. And then the last one, we were given the selling price, we were given the profit. So we know the formula to get to the cost. It's selling minus profit, and that will give us that missing amount or missing answer that we want. Okay, the 3,000. And then to calculate the markup percentage again, you need to know the formula, gross profit divided by cost price times 100. So you have the gross profit, which is 3,000. You calculated your cost price, okay, and then you multiply by 100. Always remember that your gross margin percentage and markup percentage, okay, you have to multiply by 100 because the answer, and also remember to show your percentage sign. Okay. Right, so again, please revise question 3.7 in your textbook. Go through pages 93 to 97 where they explain the different definitions, what is cost price, what is profit, what is selling price. Okay. Okay, I think we're 3 minutes over our but maybe what I'll do is just complete this last section on learning unit 3, just and then we'll have our break. Remember, I told you early on when we started learning unit 3 and we had a look at what is input VAT, what is output VAT. This could also be a possible test question where you have to calculate whether VAT will be payable or refundable to SARS. Okay, and this in your textbooks is what was completed in the VAT 201 form on example 3.3 on page 102 in your textbooks, but they could give you an activity similar to this. And then again, very important for you to read the question carefully or the instructions. They said assume all amounts are inclusive of VAT, but some amounts are also exclusive of VAT. And again, why are they giving you maybe some inclusive amounts, some exclusive amounts, is because again, you must be able to know how to get to the VAT amount using the different formulas. Okay, but first you need to identify where will we record input and output. Okay, so you have sales, you have purchases, you have water and electricity, you have telephone, you have advertising, you have purchases returns, and you have sales returns. So you need to identify what is input and what is output. And from the definitions that I shared earlier in my slide, I hope you still know what is input and what is output, VAT. Okay, all right, so if you've seen here, we were given the inclusive VAT amount. So we calculate output VAT on sales and purchases returns. Those two will go to output. And when, remember, the important thing we want to calculate here is the VAT amount. Okay, we are given the inclusive, so we need to get to the VAT amount. So what you want divided by what you have. So to get to the VAT amount, if you have the inclusive VAT, it's multiplied by 15 over 115, and that will give you your VAT amount. Okay, then you do the same for purchases returns. You will then add up the two VAT amounts, and that will equal your total output. Okay, now you've identified where we calculate input VAT. We calculate input VAT on purchases, water and electricity, telephone, advertising, sales returns. They all have input VAT. And purchases was the inclusive amount. So of course, again, it was multiplied by 15 divided by 115. But telephone, the exclusive VAT amount was given. So now the formula had to change. Okay. what you want divided by what you have. Okay, so you multiply by 15 divided by 100, and that will give you the VAT amount. And once you've calculated all your VAT amounts for input VAT, you will add it up again, you'll total it up, and that will give you your total input. Right. And then once you have your output VAT and you have your input VAT, now you're going to subtract the two amounts. Okay, so output minus input, and we know the rules. If output is greater than input, then VAT will be payable to SARS, which means we owe SARS that money. Okay, but if the input was greater than the output, then VAT will be refundable from SARS to the business. Okay, so please just remember, um, and to revise also the example activity in your textbook, and also this question was in a past test paper, and I'm sure your lecturers in class did practice this activity with you. Okay, and that is where we'll stop for now, and we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we will resume in the next 5 minutes. It's entirely up to you. Are you happy to proceed, or do you want to take a 5-minute break?
I think a break will do, Salami.
Yes, I also think so. Thank you so much, guys. Yes, 5-minute break. Wonderful, everyone. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Perfect. Yes, we will have a 5-minute break, everyone. Thank you.